So, we're going to talk about our pets and how we, as a couple who one loves animals, one didn't grow up with animals, that would be me, how we navigated that. So, before we talk about how we navigate that, I think we should first talk about your experience with
With
animals
pets,
growing up.
dogs used to be outside the house. We used to use them for protection of the house, guarding the house from thieves. And so they used to live outside the house. I'm originally from Honduras, and that's where dogs live. They lived outside the house. But I loved nature. I studied biology. And after school, I used to go hunting for frogs, hunting for snakes to turn them into pets. I had chickens. I had parrots of all different species. What else did I have? I had rabbits. I loved animals and I was very close to them.
Hmm.
When I came to the States, though, I learned, specifically talking about dogs, that they could actually live inside the house with you and that you could have a different kind of relationship with a dog as a pet, as opposed to being a guardian in the house like we used to
Hmm.
back then. So,
So, when you're talking about all these exotic animals, parrots, snakes, turtles, my experience is very different. Animals were a responsibility and cost money. We didn't grow up in a situation where we could afford to feed additional living beings. So, I mean, there's still some people today who keep dogs outside, which I think is completely inhumane now that I have, been around animals and realize how much they need, interaction and whatnot. So,
mhm.
when you have two people, one who never had pets growing up and another one who's always had animals around growing up, how do we figure that out?
I think from in my experience with you, it was a little by little
Little by
with you
little. That's
because,
generous way of putting it.
well,
Little
because
by little.
you told me initially that you didn't have any relationship with pets because you didn't have them when you grew up, so you didn't really know what to do. In seeing me interact with Laika, our first dog,
Mhm.
and having you babysit her, one time without having a clue, giving you instructions on how to care for her, I think you started learning.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question, though. I'm going to ask you this question. Now, I don't know the answer to this
Okay,
question, so
okay.
I'm taking a risk
All
here.
right.
What in the world made you think that I should be the one responsible to watch and pet sit your, at that time, most prized possession? What made you think that I was capable of doing that?
Well, one is that you paid attention to how I took care of her. So you picked it up pretty fast. And also, you were a first year resident of emergency medicine. So I figure if something happened, you probably would figure out what to do.
Oh, see, I was thinking you would say that I had this wonderful like personality that just made you think that, if anything happened that I would definitely take care. Well, I guess you kind of did say that.
Well, but I also, Eric, my friend, used to live in the building too. So, I told Eric to lay a hand if it was needed. So you
Hmm.
were not,
Yeah.
completely
And
on
we
your
didn't need
own.
Eric.
So,
I did it all. But there was one time because what I was doing was going to your apartment, twice a day to walk Leica and to feed her. And then one time I was like, oh, this is too much. You got to come home with me. So then I took her home with me. And then that's when I was like, oh, okay. So that's how this works. They want to be like by you all the time.
all the time.
So let's talk about the complication because, and I don't want to call it a complication. At the time, I was like, dogs don't be in the bed with humans. They got their own space and we got our own space. And why we mixing these spaces?
Well, let me tell you though, Laika was pretty furry because she was a Cocker Spaniel. So in wintertime, in my apartment, it was pretty cold because there was no heat. So
I know.
she used to get on the bed with me and keep me warm. So
Keep you warm.
keep me warm because she was so warm and furry. So it was perfect. So that's how she learned to sleep in the bed with me.
Mm. And I didn't believe in dogs in the bed. I didn't even believe in dogs in the bedroom. They had. I didn't even believe in dogs inside.
Exactly. You didn't even believe in dogs, period. Because you had none.
Right. So I think, but I think because we had to figure this out because if we wanted to be a couple, actually we didn't have to figure this out. I had to figure this out because you wasn't gonna part with the dog, so it didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I wouldn't have wanted you to.
It was
anyway.
my baby. How would anyway.
So, in terms of animals, in addition to just dogs, because that's one thing, what is your experience of me with any type of animal? Insect, reptile, what else?
Well, it doesn't matter. Besides a dog, they have a 30, sometimes it can be a 30-second rule to leave or 1 minute. So you will say you have 30 seconds or 1 minute to get rid of this animal or else it's going to be dead. Correct. That's my experience with you.
And that still holds true today.
So that's why I'm quick to remove them so they don't get smashed.
Because I don't do spiders. I don't do ants. I don't do centipedes. I don't do
lizards.
You know I don't do lizards. I don't do lizards. I don't do geckos.
I don't do roaches.
Well, we don't really have roaches.
Yeah, but you almost killed that lady in the hospital when you found a roach in her coochie, but that's a different story.
I didn't almost kill her.
You destroyed the room.
That's a different being. That's a different thing.
That's a different story anyway.
So, but yes, those type of things don't belong in the house. But you're like, but it's a living being. It's got feelings, even though it don't have a brain.
No, they don't have feelings. They just have a purpose in life.
But the purpose is to be outside.
Yes, and that's why I put them outside peacefully without killing them. Because they belong outside, not inside the house.
So y'all going to have to let me know, what do you all think about, let me know, insects, lizards, all those things that don't belong in the house? Do you think they belong in the house?
No, they don't belong in the house, but you don't need to kill them. You just need to put them out.
But I will destroy a house.
Of course you would.
Trying to get out a lizard.
That's where I come to balance you. That's where I balance you.
But you got how long to balance me?
Sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes a minute. But that's enough. Okay, I don't need a lot of time.
Do you remember when that bird flew in the house?
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
Oh, my Lord. You don't remember when a bird flew in the house and we had guests? No. And I was screaming?
No,
I'd have burned the house down.
I don't remember that. When was this?
Oh, my God. Anyway, a bird flew in the house, and I was screaming to get the bird out with a broom. You don't remember this? I cannot believe you don't remember this.
I don't remember this.
Okay.
Oh, well.
So.
But the bird survived, I guess.
Yeah, it survived. It survived. My thing is that I don't like insects, but that I still don't like them, and they still have a 30-second window if they're in the house. But if they're outside, I don't kill them anymore.
Good. See, he's learning.
Because I remember I saw an insect on a gas when I was getting gas. There was this insect that was sort of like crawling on the top of the gas tank, and it was coming by me. And I was like, don't do it if you want to live. Don't do it. And then it had this little tail, and the tail was doing this, like this. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. That little tail that was just doing this back and forth, back and forth. And I was like, is it trying to like talk to me? Is it trying to like communicate with me? Is it trying to say, If you kill me, I will sting you. I may be dead, but
But
I'll
see
sting you in the
now that's
process.
crazy. Now he's thinking that insects trying to communicate with him.
That's
All
what I
right.
was thinking at the time. But I was like, for the first time, I let an insect outdoors get within a foot of me, and it didn't sacrifice its life in the
So
process.
that's good. All right.
But still, the snake. There's a Facebook Live video that I did when there was a snake in the garden, and I had this what do you call those rakes? But the rakes, it's not like a plastic rake. It's the rake with like the spikes on it at the end.
Okay.
It's not a hoe. It's not a shovel. It's like one of those. You know what it is? The metal is a grate. It's like a
Yeah.
fork. And
Yeah.
I had one of those, and I was gonna get it. And then I thought, well, maybe if I just scare it away, it doesn't have to die just because of that. So I'm getting to the point. I'm not there yet.
But it was one of the good snakes. It wasn't even a poisonous snake. It was a
See,
razor
that's what
snake,
we
right?
disagree. Why are you talking? There's no such thing as a good snake and a bad snake around me.
Well, okay.
If the snake is around me, it's a bad snake.
Poor snakes.
Poor snake, poor me.
No, poor snakes, because unless I'm around, they will not survive with you.
And see, that's the difference. There's no good snake and a bad snake. How is there a good snake and a bad snake?
The good snakes are the ones that actually get rid of the poisonous snakes. So say the rattlesnakes we have here, then those are the ones that are the bad snakes. Because if they bite you or bite one of the dogs, goodbye. Not for us, but for the dogs. So
I would say that if it's a snake and it's in my vicinity, I consider it bad.
all right.
So it's got to go, or I got to go, or it's got to go and I got to go.
Exactly.
So that's the way I keep it. So, but then that's basically, you have this, in my view, I think you have this overall kind of like everything is deserving of continued life.
Yes. And I protect them. You know, even at the hospital, when any insects get inside the hospital,
Now, see, that's just crazy.
I take them out because they don't belong inside the
I
hospital.
wonder
They
if there
belong
are people out
outside.
there like you.
I'm sure there are people out there
I
that
don't
respect
know them.
life.
If I know them, I don't know that they're like that.
Mm.
Because anybody that I know, the way I grew up, if you see something crawling, you grab a slipper and you you grab a slipper and you smash it, and hopefully the guts don't come on you. But if the guts get on you, then what do?
Well, listen,
Scream.
but when I was a kid, I used to be like that. I used to kill them, even lizards and stuff like that. When I was a kid, I used to be like that. But as I grew up as an adult, I learned to respect life. And my attitude changed completely. But I was one of those kids, except for dogs and cats.
But what I'm thinking is, you know that I could destroy a room in 30 seconds
I do.
if there's a lizard.
That's why I intervene, because I don't want to be fixing your mess afterwards.
Anyway, it's just like a creepy crawly thing. I don't want them by me.
But anyway, back to the dogs.
Well, before we got to the dogs, we needed to know the history of the hierarchy. You know that little tree,
Yeah.
the animal tree
Yeah.
of
So it's
where
insects, snakes, spiders,
no insects,
lizards, dogs.
reptiles. What is a spider? Is that a reptile? I mean,
Oh, honey.
isn't
Arachnids.
it a snake? I mean, it's an
No.
insect, though,
Yes.
right? Okay. So we have. Okay, let's start from the very basic. Worms.
Why
I
do we
don't
have
do
to go
worms.
so low?
I don't do worms.
But why do we have to go so low?
Okay, worms. Insects.
It doesn't matter where they stand in the scale. You don't do any of them. So why are you worried about where they stand?
You're right. Okay, so I don't do insects.
You don't do any.
Reptiles, amphibians.
You do.
I do mammals.
Okay, some mammals, because that black bear that lives inside or behind our house, you don't do that. The minute you see that bear, you gone. Remember when we met it?
Yes. Okay.
In less than a second, you were already inside the house.
But I'm not. But I think you thinking different. I'm thinking. I don't think they need to die.
I agree.
That's where my mammal threshold will start. uh, Amphibians, reptiles, insects. I don't even know where worms fit in that
Doesn't matter,
category.
but anything that's not a
But
mammal is on the other side.
right, and plants,
What do you mean plants?
they could go too. But if it's like
Plants.
because when I watched Avatar, I was like, okay, a tree. I wouldn't want to cut a tree down that's been alive. Like it's been there for like 300. It's a 300
Talking
year
about
oak
home
tree.
tree, okay?
Right, like 300-year oak tree, and then I just come around and be like, I've been on this planet 30 years, and now the oak tree that's been here 300 years is gone. So after watching the movie Avatar, I was just like, oh, the poor tree.
And
But
now? Really?
now I'm like, yeah, the poor tree. But before the tree could go,
Oh,
I
okay.
wouldn't
So
be
now,
worried about the
okay,
tree.
gotcha.
So now I have like more respect for
Nature
trees
type of
and
thing.
nature.
Okay.
But weeds, I'll pull a weed in a second.
All right.
So mammals, I don't want to be around them all, but I can definitely handle. They don't have to die in my presence.
Okay.
All right. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm glad that not every mammal has to die in your presence. I mean, God forbid. We see too many of them killed on the road here, everywhere.
Hmm.
I mean, you see the possums killed everywhere, and this is the only marsupial in the Americas. And it gets killed on the roads here everywhere. That animal eats ticks, which prevent people from developing Lyme disease. But people don't realize that, these animals have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize we were signing up. I was signing up for a David Attenborough
Sorry.
documentary that
I'm
I could see
sorry.
on National Geographic.
I'm sorry.
So, you want to hear my David Attenborough impression? In a million years, there will not be any more humans. There will only be spiders. That's my David Attenborough.
Oh, Lord.
A million years ago.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about what happens to your fur babies as they age.
Well, before we even go there, let's talk about the training. And when one does the right training, teaching them good manners, the other one is handing them food that he's eating under, pretending like I don't see what he's doing. How about that?
Who is that?
You.
No.
Of course you do. How many times have I seen you eating whatever it is you're eating, and then they're like in between your legs right here, and I just see you doing whatever it takes something from your plate, and then you're trying to distract me, and next thing I know, you're like under the desk.
But why would you deny an animal food?
Thank you. But
Why?
see, so I'm the one who's trying to be the disciplinary, training them to be good puppies. He's the one teaching them all the bad habits.
But why would you deny them food?
There you go. So who's the softie now?
Who's the softie now? I just don't think you should deny an animal.
So we need comments on that, please. Thank you.
Leave it in the comments. Do you deny animals when they want something? You don't deny them. That's not right.
I prefer to give them treats, instead of giving them just whatever it is.
I give them treats. I don't mind giving them treats, but you give them too many treats. You give them treats left and right.
Well, I want them happy. And I feel like I work for them, kind of. So, what about, you say, aging puppies?
Yeah, so I don't like the fact that they don't live long, because they do actually become part of your family. You love them unconditionally. We ain't gonna never have children, so they are, for all practical purposes, our equivalent children. You love them. They are companions, but I don't like the fact that they don't live long enough. And so when you have to like bury them, when you have to make them transition over into the puppy, what they say, they're going over the puppy rainbow or whatever.
Puppy world, whatever it is they go.
Whatever. And I don't like that.
Well, that's the biggest fear I had That's why I didn't, after we lost Laika, that's why I didn't want to get another dog, because I didn't want to go through that pain again. But, the fact that they give you so much joy and so much happiness, and that you're rescuing a puppy that otherwise would have been put down 8 years
Mm-hmm.
ago,
Yeah.
um, and then seeing all the joy and all the happiness they bring to us, I'm like, it's worth every minute. Unfortunately, they're not eternal, but nobody is, and it does suck when we lose them. Um, but I try not to think much about the losing them part. I think more about today. What am I doing for them? How am I caring for them? How am I bringing them joy? How they bringing me joy? Because that other part is
Mm,
awful, and I don't even want to think about it.
mm. Well, I would. I think that what I imagined it would be when you have to, because we had to put
Like a down,
we
yeah,
had to put Leica down when she got sick. So, but what I thought it would be and what it actually was obviously very different. I thought it was going to be like like almost like what it looks like in the hospitals, with patients and doing CPR and all that kind of stuff. But it actually wasn't. It was actually very, very peaceful. It was much better than what I had envisioned. So I think that even though it's very hard to do, that doesn't mean to make it any less hard, any easier.
yeah, uh-huh. Yeah.
Less
That's
hard. You
less
mean
hard.
easier? But let me tell you. I don't know if I told you this because you feel like people don't understand because when we had to put Leica down, it's like losing a family
Yeah,
member.
yeah,
And I had to go to work that day. And it's similar to it was like I didn't think anybody would understand what it was like to go to work when you've just lost a family member and just act like nothing happened. But it's like you can't really call out sick because people think you're calling out sick because because your dog died. But when you don't have children, and even if you do have children, I guess it's really hard. That was a very, very hard day. You were at least off that day. I had to go to work that day, and it was very hard. And it was the psychiatric nurse when she asked me, she's like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And when she said, "How are you?" I was like, "Ooh, I lost it." So I just started crying, and she started hugging me, and she's like, "Oh, I completely understand." Takes a good psych nurse. Nurses are wonderful, right? So, and she made me feel so much better. And I was just telling her it's just not a good day. So I really appreciated that she was able to not only take the time to listen to me, but she gave me this huge big hug, and she like didn't let go of the hug until I let go of the hug. But I really like that.
I was driving to work because I had to go to
When?
work the day after
Oh, okay.
we put her down. But I was so sad. I was crying on my way to work. And so I called the hospital, and I told the 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 doctor that was there at the time that I was going to be working with. I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. I said, I'm a mess. I just, put our dog down. And he's like, go home. He's like, take it easy, just chill. He's like, I got this. He's like, I'll cover, no worries. And I just turn around and drove back home because it's very weird because the pain is a very different kind of pain as opposed to, say, when my father passed away. I felt sad, I was down, but the pain of losing Laika was so different. I have never screamed and cried of how sad I was about losing a puppy. So it's, I mean,
You about to say you care more about your dog than your daddy?
no, it's not about not caring. It's about the kind of pain that I felt when she died, as opposed to when my father died. It was strange. I don't know how to explain
I
it.
think this is what I think because we've both lost one parent. The difference is it's something in your house that when you come back into your home, a routine has changed. When you're when a parent passes away, yeah, it's a different type of pain. It's a different type of mourning. It's a different type of grief. But it it doesn't really change your routine, I guess, unless you talk to your parent every single day, and now you can't do that anymore, which neither of us did. We weren't like talking to them daily. So what I noticed the dramatic difference was that the bed wasn't as full. The greeting at the door that you normally get didn't happen anymore. So there were constant reminders of the loss in very, very small, subtle ways that you don't notice until it actually happens. So that's what I felt in that moment, which was different than the grief of losing a parent. You don't have those until like something comes up, a memory or something like that, and then you're reminded, obviously. But it's not like the everyday. I walk into the room, I walk here, I open the front door, the bowl is still on the ground, there's no need to put any food in it, those types of things.
So for those of you who have been where we've been, losing your pets and loved one, tell us what you think about the kind of pain. Do you understand what we're talking about? Can you relate to the experience we're talking about?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. I'd like to know that. So now we've got
2 dogs.
well, we got another one that you came home with,
Well, we adopted Aries
right?
from the pound.
You came home with.
I came home with her.
You
She's
did.
about 8 years old now. She's been with us since she was little.
And then we adopted.
And we just adopted my brother's dog. Her name is Sophia. She's a canine officer who was retired in December of last year. She's the same age of Aries. And they grew up kind of like they used to see each other. They used to play with each other too. So they know each other, which is the good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so having 2 dogs is definitely different from having one.
And Sophia has glaucoma in her left eye, so she gets eye drops about 3 times a day.
So now we have transitioned from being caretakers of kids to now caretakers of geriatrics, because now one of them get drops 3 times a day.
They hurt their back when they get off the bed, so we have to be careful of how they get off the bed. We have to lift them when we put them in the car. We have to lift them down, lift them up.
Right.
So, yeah.
So now we are the caregivers of... They didn't went from our kids, are viewed as our kids, to our parents.
Well, not our parents, but geriatric patients.
Yes, geriatric patients. Do you need lift help? Lift assistance? Lift assistance in the living room? Lift assistance in the bedroom? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we should play a little game.
Oh, okay. I wasn't ready for this.
Let's play a game. I'm going to name an animal. You tell me if that's a gay animal or a straight animal.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. First animal, lion.
Straight.
Really?
Rawr, yes.
Okay. Scar from the Lion King.
Gay.
Only a bitter gay queen would be like that, right?
So bitter.
So, as a lion?
Yeah, he's gay.
Okay. Hyena.
Bisexual.
I was going to say, who cares?
I need to bring my gator back in here. I have one.
All right. What about a prairie dog?
Prairie dog. Gay.
Platypus.
Gay.
A gay platypus?
Say that again?
Platypus.
Sounds gay to me.
Okay, what about a tiger?
Tiger. Can go either way straight, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Bi?
Bi?
Maybe bi.
What about the tiger in Jungle Book?
The tiger in Jungle Book. Oh, straight.
Okay, snake. It's a children's show now.
Oh.
We ain't talking about anacondas.
Oh, okay. All right. Straight.
Okay, but what about the snake in the jungle book?
Gay. Ka.
What about a bear?
Bear. Straight.
Okay, if you could name, what is an animal that is classically lesbian?
Classically lesbian. An animal. Classically lesbian.
You know what comes to mind when I think of one? A classically lesbian animal, a beaver.
Oh my God.
You know why?
You don't need to explain it.
Because they
It's
always
self-explanatory.
building dams. And you know lesbians always building something.
Thank you, Lord, because I thought it was going to go a different way.
No, I was thinking because, beavers are always constructing.
Beavers.
You know what else? Moles. That would be
Okay.
lesbians because they always, when you look at a mole's habitat, they done dug from here to Timbuktu
Oh,
and you
Lord.
would never know. And I
Uh-uh.
think that, what you call them, Ding? Gophers.
You're going to complicate it to go to more simpler
A
animals.
simple animal?
What about
What about-
cats?
Cats? Cat, it depends on the cat. I named a cat. I named a lion and a tiger. Those are cats.
Okay, I'm talking about house cats.
So house cats. It depends.
If we're talking about Kate's cats, lesbian.
They're
let me
all
think.
lesbians.
Okay.
But if you're talking about like a minx, that's a straight cat.
Okay.
Or
What else?
what you call those the Persian ones with all that hair? And they all like bushy? A bushy cat?
Oh, that sounds pretty gay to me.
Okay, what about a dolphin?
Gay.
A whale?
Gay?
Is every animal gay? Because
No.
I'm thinking a whale, a humpback whale. That's straight.
Maybe. Well, I just seen some behavior in them whales and dolphins that makes you say,
What behavior have you seen in a dolphin?
I have seen dolphins doing things with other male dolphins.
I'm talking about, do they give gay energy?
Oh. Yes, dolphins do. Whales don't.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think the dolphins, they jump up in the air and spin, that just seems like something a gay person
There's a
would
dancing
do.
queen.
Okay, what about a cheetah?
That's a sexy cheetah. I think
I think a cheetah is like, the way a cheetah walks is like they on the runway, baby.
Right,
They're
but-
like, ba-da-da-da-da-da.
But that's gay. Is that gay or just sexy? Can you be a sexy?
Well, a cheetah is my favorite animal.
I know, but can you be sexy without have to be gay?
Sexy without being gay? I
don't
mean,
know.
I guess so, but why would we care? Okay, give me an animal.
An animal, giraffe.
A giraffe? I would say a giraffe is pansexual.
Okay, all right.
They go anyway.
Hippopotamus.
Straight.
Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros? Straight.
Huh. Okay.
A straight rhino?
With a horn. Okay. Gorillas.
Gorillas. I would say gorillas are definitely lesbians.
Really?
Yes. Now, baboons, gay. You see their little booties in the air? That's definitely, baboons are gay.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Gorillas, lesbians.
Oh, Lord.
I think a straight monkey, chimpanzee.
All right.
Chimpanzee would be straight, but I think a lemur, gay.
Oh,
They always looking like
just
they
look at
judging.
whatever his name from Madagascar. What's his name? King whatever.
Gay.
As gay as can be.
Penguin.
Gay. No. Well, if you go from Madagascar, they're not. Are they gay? No, they're not gay.
But the penguin from Batman.
Super gay.
You think so?
No, he's not.
Just stick
He
up a
wasn't.
butt.
No, he wasn't.
Just stick up a butt.
You don't remember that?
No, he's not gay.
Okay. Okay. Give me another one.
I cannot think of any other ones right now. I think we've covered pretty much every animal that's out there to cover.
I can think of so many more.
Okay.
A deer,
Gay.
pig.
Oh, super gay.
Explain.
You see them
Tell
walking?
me.
You see them walking?
I
They're like,
must say I've never paid attention to a pig walking.
yes, they're walking on the catwalk. How about cows?
Cows, lesbians.
Okay.
You see what they do with their tongues?
They just lick themselves.
Oh, they be like.
I don't get the relationship. Why?
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Bulls straight.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
What else?
That's it. Horses.
Horses.
Straight, but I think zebras are gay.
Camels.
I think they're gay. They like them humps.
Okay. Well, that ends our game of gay or straight animal edition. All right. So we're gonna call it a wrap. We've spent some time. How long? We're at 37 minutes.
All right. I think
that
that's
flew
good.
by.
We don't want to.
So the next conversation I think we're going to talk about is going to be a little bit more serious, and it's going to be about weight.
Okay.
In the gay community, gay couples, particularly because you and I have very different weight experiences.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. Think
about it.
Tune in. All right. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.